You have to make sure that your list is healthy. Like when you're sending to a bulk email to every single subscriber on your email list, in the long term, that harms your email list health. You just have to be sending to your most engaged subscribers. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, but if you do that, you're going to make more money in the long term.
Alex Gregoriades, it is good to have you here on Economics. What's new with you? What's going on today?
Hi, Joseph. Thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure, and doing some new things in 2022, like everyone with our new goals. Mm-hmm. So trying as much as I can to, come up with something new for business owners, e-com store owners that can help them even more out, in 2022.
Excellent. Yeah, I've a couple of conversations I've had lately have been about people, putting information together. Like one of the previous guests we had was about dropshipping.com. And I know dropshipping is not the nature of the conversation today, but, you have this one conversation about, is dropshipping even viable? And then you have this whole other conversation about, of course it's viable. And we've created all this information. So it's exciting to see that. I think from my outsider's perspective, I think e-commerce has dealt with some of its early growing pains, and it's really starting to be about centralizing information and moving the conversation forward. So I'm excited to see what we can accomplish today. Opening question to you, my good sir, is tell us, what do you do? What are you up to these days?
Yeah, so I am an email list manager and deliverability expert. Basically, what I do is I'm a one-man, let's say, department. So I take care of an email list just to turn it around and basically pull up, scale email lists to a position where they're making like from 2x to 4x what they were previously doing. And yeah, that involves like getting creative with the email copy, standing out as a brand with all, the overcrowded inboxes that everyone has. And making strategic changes in the flows, and also like getting out of promotions tab and spam and hitting your subscribers inbox. So
I was wondering when I was going to bring this up, but I guess we'll just talk about it now because just for the fun of it. But so I have a couple of emails that I have to look at. I look at the webinar email. I look at my own Joseph Ayani at Debutify email, and then like the 12 that I have not related to this company. But I also look at the podcast email, and we got an opening email from you, and the first email didn't show up in our spam filter, and I replied to you, and that was all fine. It was the replies that started showing up in the spam filter. So I'm like, oh, I guess that fella must be busy. Well, I guess we'll hear from him someday. Dude, going back to typing random things. But then like, wait a minute, what's going on? Like, and then it was my producer who noticed, by the way, Joseph, you haven't responded to that guy in like 6 weeks. Like, wait a minute, what? So, there's despite the fact that an email's been around for like, I'd say like 15, 20 years, probably longer than that. It still seems to encounter some technical issues. So, what are some of the issues that, you run into? And if possible, what kind of solutions have you been able to drum up in response to them?
Yeah, it's interesting, because like it happens for new domains. So that was a new domain I purchased like in a week, and being like, so busy with my client work, I didn't even care about my own things. I just wanted to work on my clients' things. And I neglected, the technical aspects of, setting everything up so you can not hit spam. And again, that will happen for a new domain. So yeah, what I did is I started warming up my inbox. That's what everyone should do with a new domain. And not only that, like, for example, if you're looking to move from MailChimp to Klaviyo, let's say, that's another thing you have to do as well. So yeah, I started warming up my inbox through an automated software. And then I set up all the technical things on, in the domain, like DMARC, SPF, PKIM, just so I say to Google, I'm not a fishy, spammy guy. I'm just, I'm here to send like normal emails to people. So yeah, hopefully that made a huge change.
It is funny to think about the parallel between, starting up a new business versus starting up a new email, in that there are, legitimacy concerns. A customer might be reluctant to purchase or make a purchase on a website. They look at the established Tuesday of last week, and they think, yeah, that, I don't know about that one. Maybe I'll wait, 6 years before that business really takes off, says everybody. And so, there's a lot of those starting challenges across the board, right? It's not just email dealing with, and it's just interesting to see on a more micro level that even in a particular inbox has to overcome some of the technical limitations just to prove its own legitimacy. I also was wondering about, so you said that you're a deliverability expert. And what I was wondering about is deliverability one of multiple characteristics that go into making good email? I'm just trying to think of like what other terms there might be, like deliverability, I don't know, readability. Like that's just something that comes to my mind. Are there, if somebody else was a different email expert, what other areas could they specialize in?
Yeah, of course. So like, for example, there's email copy, like, writing good subject lines that will get opened. And also like the body copy. So, sharing some interesting stuff that people are, interested in reading, rather than the typical, discount emails where people at some point might get fed up with. It's human nature. I mean, if you look at the same thing over and over again, then at some point you get bored. So it's about mixing things up, making your brand look interesting, and also strategic things like, email marketers come up with, some creative ways of doing, like, let's say, promotions on a holiday. For example, a recent one was Christmas, and then there was the big one, Black Friday. And yeah, and also like you have to make sure that your list is healthy. Like there's this, how can I say, like it's counterintuitive. Like when you're sending to a bulk email to every single subscriber on your email list, in the long term, that makes like harms your email list health. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you just have to be sending to your most engaged subscribers. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, but if you do that, you're going to make more money in the long term. So you're going to get more sales. Just because at some point, unfortunately, you're going to lose some subscribers on your email list. Some people just don't like getting emails from you. You don't have to worry about those people. And you just keep sending to people that are, they are your loyal fans. They just enjoy your emails and they keep buying from you. And that's how you get like repetitive customers. And you don't have to worry about, spending money on ads and everything. So it all like works like a machine. So there are different components going into email. Of course, there are different like areas you can specialize in, but they all work with each other. So, yeah.
One thing that impressed me early on from some of the earlier content that I had made for the program, some of the first email experts that I had talked to, it was impressive and encouraging that emailing is still a important aspect of business. And, from what I've picked up over time, one of the main reasons for that is advertising just continues to get more expensive, more competitive, less. Actually, I'll just stop there. More expensive, more competitive, and one of the things that I mentioned while I'm writing an introduction for another episode is that ads have to be looked at as an investment rather than a cost. It's not an incidental thing that you have to pay. Like keeping the lights on. Even that can be argued as an investment. There are other things that we need to do now in order to even be sustainable, whether we're talking about influencer marketing or emailing, which is, you don't get as much out of it, I think, at the beginning of the funnel before customers are really warmed up to it. But I would love to hear your expertise on that. But definitely towards the latter side, the remarketing, providing content to people, notifying of updates, new products, or just expanding on the brand, expanding on a term that I rarely use, but expanding on the mythology of the brand if there's an ongoing story to it and people want to continue to be engaged with the journey that the brand is going on. There's a lot that can be done there. And that's just my point of view. So how would you describe the state of emailing these days? Have main advantages and drawbacks? Have you noticed any, say, significant changes in what brands have to expect from emails? I'd say in the last year, couple of years, versus maybe the beginnings of e-commerce. I would say in the last 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, well, a lot of things have changed. I mean, the most recent change was with iOS 15, where there was this like huge thing where business owners were very concerned about what's going to happen with their email list. Like, are we going to be able to send emails to iPhone users? And as far as we know, like, there are a lot of them out there. Huge. iPhone has a huge like market. So we needed to find a way around that. I mean, luckily, Klaviyo and all these ESPs were smart enough to, find a solution to this. So as you can see, like when some things change in the market, like people have an answer to it, especially in email marketing. So yeah, of course, email marketing has become more competitive, since like there isn't that, entry barrier for businesses to get into a market. Like, a kid in the basement can start its own business, so
yeah, I've talked to 2 kids in their basement, so I'm not surprised.
So I mean, you can imagine how many emails a person can get in a day. So it's all about standing out in your inbox, sounding like a normal person, being friendly, like talking to a friend, not trying to sell something, because people are pretty much fed up with everything, like sales and so on. Like, they're getting bombarded with sales emails every single day. So if you want to belong in that category, then that's fine. But if you want to like take your marketing and your business to the next level, then it's of course like sounding like a friend, sharing personal things. Like, you have to look at it like an email, like it's entertaining to people.
Mm-hmm.
So we have like people enjoy entertainment. Like, as you can see, people, almost every single one of us are subscribed to Netflix. So we enjoy Netflix. It's a big thing. And if you manage to become like an entertainer with your emails, then it's going to create a huge positive impact. So email isn't dead. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just thinking about that. Like, I after all the times I've plugged Mad to Sleep, they've actually been a pretty good company to me. I was going to tell a story about how good of a company they can be, but then people are going to take advantage of it. So never mind. Let's just say they've really impressed me. And with their emailing, they have, I guess it's like a magazine. They call it the Sleepscape, and you could tell that the brand really gives a damn about their subject matter, because they're showing research on sleep, trying to improve. They provide so many solutions to the point where people might not even need the masks, but they want it anyways to continue to enhance the ability to have good quality sleep. And that's the kind of emailing that I really appreciate. And what I think is interesting, and I didn't actually think about this until we started talking, but I suppose it's possible to tell where you want to go with developing your brand based off the engagement that people have. Like, if they have like 90 issues so far, and if they notice a lot of people really got into reading issue 72, which discusses this particular component, maybe there's something in there. Maybe there's some product research that we can use from that. From your experience, have you seen that actually take place, where the way customers are responding to emails, fans are responding to emails, has guided or influenced where the brand should take their products next?
Yeah, of course. Like, this is something I always recommend to brands as soon as I start working with them. Is like, we send what I call a reply email, where it's basically asking them a question, getting feedback, and that will allow like us to get some research finding out what our customers need, if they have any concerns or anything. And that will also help, the brand putting content on social media. And also it will help us create some, emails that people are actually going to read and are interested in, since it speaks to that problem. So like, yeah, when you're always like, when you're sharing valuable things and giving tips to people that they appreciate and they learn something out of it and they get value, then you look like a trustworthy brand, and people are going to trust you even more, and they'll see you as the best solution out there to get, buy a product from you. So yeah, it always helps.
And I also think too, this is just a sub note before I follow up on my next question here, which is that let's say that they either want to do product research or they want to stay on top of what's going on in the sleep improvement industry. They're getting additional value out of that work because that research is still helping them. It's helping them develop their products, helping them know what's going on. And then they just say, wait a minute, we just send our findings into an email to others and get some additional value out of it, maybe hide a discount in there once in a while so people are more inclined to read it. So the amount, I think one of the things that you can really justify with emailing is to enhance the value of anything else that somebody is doing. If there's updates to your brand, to your company, things are changing, I don't know, a new CEO, whatever it is, everything that you can do can be enhanced and additional value can be extracted out of it if you also send it in an email.
Yeah, of course. I mean, people will appreciate when you're sending like personal things that are happening in a company, especially when you're sharing like behind the scenes, like things that people won't see from other brands. So, I mean, we've seen it time and time again with TikTok videos where, people are sharing personal things that are happening behind, let's say, the curtain. So, and they get tons of engagement. So, yeah, always like when you're sharing these things with your subscribers, it will help you also like optimize your product that you're selling. Because like if there's a flaw that you don't know about and you believe that everything is perfect, let's say, but there's one thing, the little thing that, a user has brought up with, after using it, then yeah, you're going to find it out with probably sending an email out to that customer and getting his feedback or her feedback. So it always helps. Email is a two-way communication, and it's super personal. So never ever neglect it. It's super helpful for your brand to scale it.
That leads me to a technical question. So building up an example first. Let's say that somebody is receiving emails, and I'll try not to use Amanda Sleep for this one, but let's say somebody is, they're using a piece of software. So that not only are they receiving technical updates, but they're also receiving, brand updates, information, maybe a magazine like I mentioned earlier, or the equivalent of one anyways. And somebody might be compelled to respond to those emails. So on the receiving end, how do people handle, what's the best way to handle customers who are sending emails or responses to addresses that maybe aren't really designed for that? Like they're asking a customer support question, but it's not to the customer support email. Are there automatic redirects? Does somebody have to manually forward it to the correct email? So what are some ways that people handle this technical side?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. Yeah, I mean, in Klaviyo, like you can set up where can people reply to. So you might be sending from, let's say, support@yourdomain.com, and you can share, say that people can reply to maybe help@yourdomain.com. So that way the emails are getting into your customer support team. The other thing you can do is have a clear call to action. So let's say underneath the email, you can say like, reach out to the specific email address that people can send an email to handle any, questions, concerns, or feedback. And yeah, I mean, it's a pretty simple thing. You just have to always like guide people to the right direction. So the more specific you are in your email, and it's going to be easier for people to take the appropriate action.
Right. I agree with that. I mean, I think certain emails, they do warrant having the no reply in the subject. Somebody understands this is an automatic email, don't reply to this. And then they try anyways, because, we're doomed as a species. But anyways, the other than that, having that call to action there, I think is a good choice. It's assuming that somebody reads it thoroughly and they say, oh, okay, well, I didn't realize there even was an email address I can reach out to. Let's go check that out. So that makes sense. So I'm going back a little bit here, because one of the things that you talk about as well is when people are, reaching out on behalf of a company, it's important for it to be personal, to have that genuine connection between us, the company, and the consumer and the fan. I'm trying to condition myself to say fan because I think that's a better way of looking at it. The issue, I think, though, is as the business scales up, it might be more difficult to retain that humanity. It's one thing for like a one-person operation to personally send out emails and thank their first wave of fans, but then you scaled up and now you have 10,000 fans on the email list, and I don't know. It seems like it's more difficult to maintain that, because now it's an email sent to 10,000 people as opposed to a couple hundred. So A, is this a problem? B, have you seen ways that people are able to keep that connection going, keep things genuine, regardless of how high up they end up scaling?
It's not that much of a problem, actually. You just have to keep in mind that, yes, you're sending a bulk email to, let's say, 10,000 people, but when you're writing that email, just imagine to yourself that you're writing to one specific person. That way you're speaking like when a person receives that email, they're going to see it like and read it, and they feel that you're personally sending an email to them. And also, like, it's a way of creating like content that sounds personal. So let's say, for example, as a business, an e-commerce store owner can, let's say, send an email out from his or her own personal name instead of the brand's name. That's another touch that it makes emails more personal. Sharing like a reason why you started this brand is a very good email you can include in your new customer sequence or your new subscriber sequence, because people are interested in these kind of things. Like, they want to listen to why you're doing what you're doing. Is it just for you to make more money? That's what most people have in mind. So when you share your mission, when you share like the reason why you're doing this and why you generally want to help people out, then people resonate with it. They get to know you, and it builds brand loyalty. But also, like, when you're sending daily campaigns, you can share like personal things where, again, it relates to that product you're using. Maybe it was a friend of yours that was using the same product, and he experienced the XYZ results after using it. Or it may be another customer testimonial or something. And yeah, I mean, if you're sharing these things and sounding like personal, sharing personal stories, and it's not a problem when you're scaling. Mm-hmm. And it will resonate even more with your audience.
Well, I think this would be a good time to maybe inquire about some case studies. If there's any particular stories. I mean, as always, I respect, client confidentiality. So we never want to cross any lines here, but I'd love to hear about any particular cases that stick out in your mind as to how you were able to, enhance and scale up the results.
Yeah, of course. I can share like a few examples of some recent brands I worked with. Mm-hmm. For example, there was this brand where it was they were in a bad place with their email list. Revenue was going down month after month. Open rates were going lower and lower, and so were the clicks. And when they reached out to me, they believed that there's no turnaround, that they lost hope, let's say. So I just reassured them that everything's going to be okay, and we're going to work with this on this, and we're going to turn this around. At that time, they were having like maybe close to 8% open rates, and I would say 0.3 clicks. Revenue was about 7K a month, email revenue. They were doing like pretty much okay on the part of, the front end aspect of the business, like ads and selling products in there, but their email list wasn't producing as much. And their emails were hitting spam like every single time. So I started working with them. We made like some strategic changes with the campaigns. I got rid of the spam problem after some time. I would say in about a week or so.
Can we expand on that for a second? Specifically what you had to do about the spam problem?
Yeah, so I was just, since there was a spam problem, I aimed for at least a 20% open rate. So what I did is I segmented the list based on engagement. So I only sent to people that are open in the last 30 days, just to get like the open rates at least 20% and improve their domain's reputation with Gmail and all those companies, Yahoo and stuff. And I fixed some technical things in their domain, some DMARC records they needed. And I also used a software that increased engagement, like I said before, the warm-up inbox thing. And yeah, I mean, as soon as you get more engagement with your emails, for example, like it's the same with social media. Like we know Facebook loves engagement. So everyone who likes, comments, shares your post, then it gets even more engagement, and it just it works with the algorithm there. And it's the same with the Gmail's algorithm. Let's say they want to see like if your emails are getting engagement. So they track this with the open rates and the clicks and replies. Maybe some, like let's say people aren't reporting your email as spam. They're not flagging it. They're not like moving it into spam folders, etc. So that's how they track engagement. So we want to track positive, scale like boost positive engagement. So that's what I did in terms of the spam problem, and it got better over time. And yeah, after that, I just sent some emails that will get even more positive engagement. It will help people, start opening the emails time after time. So it's not just like a subscriber or a fan, as you say, that opens an email and then they stop opening it and they will reopen an email after a month or so. So I wanted to make sure that people are consistently opening the emails and they're buying stuff. And yeah, then I optimize the flows, because one trend I noticed with a lot of e-commerce stores is that their flows aren't optimized. So for example, in an abandoned cart sequence, they might have like 2 emails. But if you want to get like maximize your cart recoveries, you want to have at least 5 emails in there. So, and you can also like, if you're open to this, you can also mix like SMS in there, SMS marketing. So send a couple SMSs. Yeah. And also like in the new customer sequence, as I said before, I shared like the brand story, why the owner decided to do what he's doing. It's his mission, what he wants to achieve. And, it also helps with upselling. So I tried upselling people in the flows. And there's another flow I like to use. It's called a VIP flow. So this is when customers buy from you more than once. So as you say, as the flow indicates, it's a VIP flow because you want to treat these people as your VIP customers. So you just want to make them feel special, and they're your best customers. They are your loyal fans. So you want to treat them differently. And yeah, that's what I did. Like it's not complicated as it sounds. It's fairly simple. So after 45 days, we managed to 4x their email revenue. So they went from 7K to 28K in just 45 days with these changes.
So I think one thing that impresses me about that, and it's a pretty common refrain as far as what I like to speak about on the program, is that as much as I had thought that success in e-commerce is largely a technical thing, and obviously there is a great deal of technicality to it, there is still the importance of conveying the message of the brand and creating more of a genuine connection. And it sounds like that had a real impact with this case study, and that talking about more of the brand's history and its mission got through to people. But I in a situation like this, I'm inclined to ask about if, in your perspective, you've seen brands get away with the opposite, where if being guarded and being more mysterious about their brand has actually benefited them in some way. Like I think like certain high ticket brands, maybe they found a way to creating questions, by creating curiosity and intrigue that can connect people to the brand in a different way. I'm just wondering if you've seen anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, with high ticket things, there's always like this mysterious thing going on, like in terms of, not sharing much about the offer. So let's say people will only find out certain things when they buy. So after they buy, they will learn like what exactly this product is about. So yeah, I mean, if you want to go that route, it might work out, but in my experience, it's always like in this day and age where you want to build like a personal relationship with people. Like, just imagine for a second, like you're treating your email list like your partner. So will you keep like all these secrets and curious things and all these things going on with your partner? I don't think so.
No, exactly. It's an interesting analogy, because if you go back to like beginnings of dating, when two people are just getting to know each other, there is a concern to like overshare right away. And like, yeah, so here were all the teachers that traumatized me when I was a kid. Like, there's certain things that, you maybe don't talk about on the first date. So I think there is an interesting parallel there to like, what are you willing to share? What are like the main tenets or main aspects of a person's character? And then like with dating, this is very fascinating, is, 6 dates in, or being together after a year, a couple of years, you don't want there to be like some reveal of a person's personality is way different than the personality they conveyed. So I think there's an interesting through line there. But that's just, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it just got my synapses flaring.
Yeah, I get what you mean. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, with emails, I guess you can start sharing even more stuff when there's this relationship going on. I mean, after someone swipes their card and they become a customer of yours, and maybe there where you start sharing even more things. And yeah, that might make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been a pretty successful date. Yeah. Somebody was willing to, yeah. No need to get into the details of that. All right. I'm going to shift to a couple of other technical questions, going back and forth between technical and the philosophical. That's what I like to do. So one of them is just real quick, like in terms of software, what software are you using, and are you getting your clients to commonly use?
Yeah, so I can share a few. One to commonly use is to clean the list when I see sometimes like a huge bounce rate, which is a huge bounce rate will be like anything above 0.2%. So I use this tool called neverbounce.com. When you go in there, and they will tell you if your list has a problem or not, if it needs cleaning, and they will be like totally transparent with you. So I just import the list in there. They will tell me if it needs cleaning, and then it will remove all the email that cause bounces. To find out about any deliverability issues with the emails, I run a test to mailgenius.com. It's another like great tool that you can tell. It shows you exactly what's going on with your emails and what type of problems you're having. Another interesting one I use when you're, let's say, if you see a decline in your open rates and maybe you suspect that there's a spam problem going on, I would suggest you send a test email to your own personal email address, and then you can find out where, if you're having a spam problem, or where your email lands. So you can use mailworm.com. It's another tool I use to increase positive engagement, and it gets you out of spam much quicker. What else do I use? I also like lookups. It's another paid tool that it basically you can run a test every now and then. You just basically import their own. They have around 70 of their own emails, and you send a test email to these email addresses, and it has like a mix of Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, Outlook, and it will tell you like where your emails landed.
Oh wow, that's pretty clever. Then that way you can tell if like one inbox is problematic but the others are okay.
Yeah, you can tell
that's
all those details. Yeah.
Actually, that was well enough. That was one of the other questions that I had chambered, which is like, do you notice any difference in consumer behavior? I don't think this is a fair question, but whatever. Do you notice any differences in consumer behavior between like people who use Yahoo or people who use Gmail or people who use Outlook? I'm technically an Outlook user as like my primary email address, but that's just because I've had my Hotmail address for decades at this point and I don't feel like stopping. So there's a personality quirk for you, but like any tidbits along those lines crop up as you notice between the different email addresses or different email services?
I mean, there isn't that much of a consumer behavior going on with these email addresses. Maybe like Hotmail users are more like, maybe, how do you call them, like more business style of people that they
I'll take
typically
I'll take
they might typically use these kind of email addresses, but then like it's not more about the consumer behavior, it's more about these specific type of inboxes because they all differ from each other. So I mean, if you want to look at it as a market share, the biggest percentage of emails are on Gmail. And I've noticed that with Hotmail, Outlook, and Yahoo, it's more difficult to inbox your emails on these platforms. So these platforms are more difficult. They easily like mark your emails as spam, and it might be for no reason at all. It's just like they have these huge barriers of your emails hitting inbox. So
and it's an overprotective spam filter does more damage than good, because I remember I received an email from a friend with whom we hadn't been in touch for a while, and I was just checking my junk mail on a whim. Like I didn't really, I don't know, I must have been bored that day or something. But it said, hey, I know we haven't talked in a while, but one of our mutual friends, he's been going through a rough patch. He's on suicide watch. I'm like, whoa, that's not something to be in junk mail. That's mail. That's mail. And I got back in touch and expanded on from there. So like, if the spam filter is overprotective, I'm just going to have to go through my junk mail anyways, because there might be something important that got lost in there. So, there is a balance between them. And I think the best option is like, let the user just decide, I get this email, this is clearly junk, I mark it as junk. This is phishing, I mark it as phishing. And over time, teach the inbox what to look out for and what not to look out for, rather than have it decide for me, like, how many Ponzi schemes do I normally want to look at on a week-to-week basis?
Yeah. I mean, I get what you mean. It's like the same thing with overproductive parents. So it's sometimes
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it just leads to rebellious behavior. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that these companies want to protect their subscribers, but I mean, at some point when they're getting overprotective, then it will get into more problems. So yeah, definitely.
Okay, so here's my next technical question for you, because I'm like deathly curious about this one. So what behavior metrics do you get to track? I know we talked about it so far, but I just want to like really nail this down. So, you can tell who opens emails. Can you tell how long they spend reading it? Like, do you have the same kind of flexibility that people get for their own websites, so they can tell how long people spend? I mean, there's heat maps for e-commerce stores. People can see like where mouses hover over the most. So it's pretty substantial material resources people have for it. So like, what behaviors can you really track on emailing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've heard it again from someone else actually. I haven't come across like such a tool that will track how long a person is on an email reading it, or until which point they were hovering. But you just focus on your clicks. So if the person has clicked, then definitely probably like the subscriber read most of the email. So I just want to keep a good look at the open rates and the clicks, so I know that people are interested in what I'm sending them to. Like, it's one thing to open, like, because as we know, like, it's the same with YouTube videos. They might have, this clickbaity title and you want to click and watch it, but then you just end up not watching it at all. So with emails, you want to make a subject line that's interesting and make them curious to open and have some sort of benefit in it, but you want to make sure that people are interested in reading as well. So yeah, so one thing I've noticed, when you're congruent with your subject line and the click is also something similar to the subject line, then it will drive positive like clicks. And yeah, I mean, we can also track like people who are on the site, like how many people were on that specific Shopify, let's say, landing page or whatever. So yeah, that's basically what we focus on.
So my question was, is there an equivalent to SEO in emails? Like, is there a way to tell a certain terminology is performing higher, or is it really just like, it really is about the clicks? And then once you're reading the email, the context or the choice of words is, it's not, I'll just back up for a second, because when writing, say, blog posts on the internet, or even the conversations that we have sometimes about like what kind of questions that we want to ask on the show, is that we're always thinking about SEO, just because we want to make sure that it ranks as high as possible. Is there an equivalent to that, or is SEO not really a concern in the email space?
It's not that much of a concern, but you want to make sure that you've done your research before writing an email. So you're using like the language that your subscribers want to read. So when you're like you're using the same language with them, then it's more easier for them to read. It speaks to them. And another important aspect of emails is to split test. So maybe you make a split test with the words in the subject line, and you find out what your subscribers are interested more in reading. So the next time, if you're sending like a similar email or using a similar subject line, then you're going to use the winner of the previous email. So it's all about, split testing things and finding out what your audience wants to hear and to read.
Do you integrate surveys into this to help, get your answers directly from the consumers and the fans?
Oh yeah, I mean, at some point in a new customer like flow, I would ask them for feedback after they get the product. So after using it, I will ask them like, can you leave us a review on Shopify, or even like you can create like a Google form with some questions, and people can answer a few questions there. And just for a reward, let's say you can give them like a specific discount or whatever you are more easier with giving away. So that will make them, leave their feedback. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like 5% discount for 10 minutes of your time, something along those lines, just to, just to sweeten the deal for them. And on that subject, I know discounts is one thing we wanted to make sure that we brought up because it's kind of a sticking point. We don't want to be like with dating, like we don't want to be like over generous, but we also don't want to, never give discounts anyways. I'm careful with like how I relate that to dating because things can get pretty dark pretty quick. So anyways, in the discount realm, what have you found to be the typical or the ideal times, as well as values too? Like if 10% tends to perform well enough, and you don't notice that 15 to 20% is worth the additional cost or anything along those lines.
Yeah. So I mean, discounts, you want to calculate them based on your profit margins. For one business, like
Makes sense.
maybe they are able to give like a 30% discount, but for some other businesses that will be like a lot, and they won't make like, they might even break even, let's say. So it depends on the business model, and of course the more discount you get, the more like people will be more interested, since they're, let's say, saving money. So you just have to be aware that there are other types of offers you can give, like not only discounts. You can give like, I don't know, free shipping. You can also give like, get with this one thing and you'll get this other thing for free, or another bonus or something. So there's, along those lines, there are all these type of things. Or maybe if you want to be like more creative, um, I've seen that some stores can, for example, say that if you buy these sort of products, then some percentage of that is going to go to a donation or something. So that's some type of things I've seen. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, there's one of those. I'm not 100% sure if you mentioned or not, so forgive me if you did. But I have also seen emails where there are products coming down the pipe, and it's like they're in the prototype phase, or it's the first 100 or 1,000 of them that they're putting out, and it's a way to get those VIPs to have first dibs on some of the latest products, so they can be the early adopters as well. I think that's another one that I've been the recipient of those kinds of emails for sure. So.
Oh yeah, for sure, that absolutely works. Yeah, if you want to get also like research from your products, and you want to see like what sort of feedback people are giving from using your product, then yeah, definitely go ahead.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, so this next one, the answer is important, but it's still kind of to me it just comes across as a silly question. But let me just make sure that it's even viable. Have you ever had to contact a CEO of a company, or help one of your clients contact a CEO?
Personally, I had to contact some CEOs, but I never helped a client.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, the helping a client was more like the safety net in case you hadn't had to. I would rather ask your direct dealings with it. So, contacting a CEO is a tricky proposition because they're obviously their time is pulled in a lot of different directions and is highly valuable. But they're also still human beings. You have to maintain professional caliber, maintain the human side. You want to make sure that you you make a good first impression. So, how have you done it? What's been your approach to contacting the head honchos of a company?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, actually. Well, for example, for some businesses, I mean, I was already a customer, so I just said in my email that I love the product and stuff, and maybe I noticed like some issues with the email that I wanted to, give my feedback on, and maybe suggest helping them. But when you're contacting CEOs, definitely like they're not people that are already on your list. They didn't raise their hand. So you want to make sure that A, you're hitting their inbox because it might be a little bit tricky. And B, you want to sound like you're a human being, not just like sending typical B2B emails, and respecting their time. And also like, maybe I would say keeping their emails short. So just get straight to the point, since these people are, they have all these things going on in their time. So if you respect their time, then it's easier for you to get a response from them. Yeah.
Right. And I think, I don't know if this is a particular tack that works or not. Thankfully, I've yet to have to email a CEO of a company. I've had to, interview them for an hour, and that's and luckily for me, I've got 10 years of experience under my belt. Otherwise, wouldn't be able to do it. But that aside, is I suppose you can say, hey, make a few key points, and then say if you want to have, if you would like me to expand, or if maybe you want to meet for a conversation, I'd be happy to do that for you. I don't know if that's helpful to allude to being able to provide more information if they're so inclined.
Yeah, you just want to get like a positive reply from them. So maybe just ask a question if they are open to having, let's say, a meeting, and it's easier for them to just reply with a yes. And as soon as they do, you can even share like your own Calendly link, which makes things more easier, and get them on a call. But it's also important to follow up with these people, because they get a bunch of emails each day and they might forget. So make sure you're following up. You might have to, personally, I had to follow up for 4 or 5 times until I get a CEO on a call. So yeah, definitely it helps. And yeah, you just have to share like some things. Don't just sound like someone who's trying to get something from the deal from the beginning. Just share something that they will make them feel a little bit special. Maybe you like their product, you like the whole marketing they're doing, or maybe something about their brand or anything. And then you can go into what's the email about. Maybe you want to get them on a call or anything. So yeah, just getting straight to the point helps.
Right. I agree with that. I think if it came down to having to choose between a giver or a getter, you might as well come across as a giver first, and then and as time goes on, you'll create value for yourself. And I think also psychologically, being able to give is a reward in of itself. What you learn in the process, or even having that contact, that connection, can manifest later down the line if it comes to fruition. So I think that's the right approach for sure.
Yeah, of course. I mean, anything. Even if you want to share like some valuable things, for example, once with a CEO that has like this huge company, I recorded like a short Loom video where I showed like what's going on, some issues with their email list, and that was sharing these things for free. I mean, I didn't ask anything in return. So yeah, things like that always help.
Right. And I maintain as well is that, if you can receive the time of somebody else, that in of itself is an amazing payoff. Like, I can't go a single episode and not be meta about it to save my life. But the fact that like I've been able to talk to so many people, meet them, make contact with them, do what I do for the show, but also, hey, we're still human beings. Now I know all of these people, and it's a tremendous blessing and a tremendous gift that I'd like to mention. Anyways, we've basically hit an hour. I got to say, this episode has been jam packed with great insights. So, I'm really, I wrote down on the fly nearly as many questions as I had come into prepared with. So there's definitely a lot to talk about. But I just want to wrap this up. I do want to get a little bit of your backstory before we let it go. So, what I'd like to know is like, was emailing always your thing? What was your entry point into, the broader e-commerce space? What were you up to prior to?
Yeah, it's my story is a little bit interesting. I worked in a corporate job as a web designer. That's what I had a bachelor's degree in, and I just I I didn't fell in love with it. I wanted something else, and after some time, I started my own, let's say, business where I was selling some, men's care products. But that didn't work out because I didn't have the sales and the marketing skills. So
Mm-hmm.
as soon as I failed, I decided that, hey, maybe you have to learn some marketing. So I went online, came across some YouTube videos, and then I came across copywriting, which I never knew existed, and then never knew it was a thing. So I liked it a lot. And then I started working with, I learned all the things, of course. And then I started working with some agencies. The first ever agency I was working with in Florida I was writing Facebook ads, and yeah, I liked it, but I mean, I didn't enjoy Facebook that much personally because like you don't have the control as you want to have. Like many things can go wrong with Facebook. One day you're running like profitable ads, and then the next day they shut you down. So I came across emails, and that was something I was really interested in. And yeah, after that, I was working with a number of businesses, but as soon as I got like, I was working with an e-commerce business, it felt more natural for me to write these sort of emails, and I was able to generate like quick results for them. So I thought that, yeah, maybe this is a niche that I like, and not only I like, but also like it's more natural for me and easier to create results for clients. So
That was the word that I was waiting for, that because for my episode with Madeline Mann, I asked her about what how do people find the right job? How do people find the right role? And she said, find what comes naturally to you. So to hear that, it's great to hear that connection there.
yeah, sure.
Excellent. Well, I said that was my wind down question, but I got one more that I'm really keen on asking, and then I promise I'll let you go. So this is more of like a predictive question. So don't feel like you have to nail it, but what would you say are there any major developments or any major hurdles or any major changes that you either see coming, predict coming, or for emailing, or is there anything down the line that you feel is significant and worthy of note?
Yeah, I mean, if I get my crystal ball here, I would say um, this is what also I heard too when I was attending an event from Clevio. So um, they said, and I also see this coming, that it will be a little bit more difficult to rely on on the front end of the business. So yeah, as you said before, costs of advertisement will go up, and yeah, there's always a way around that, but I mean, it's something that we have to face. It will be more difficult for people to get new customers as much as they're getting right now, so they will have to rely more on email just to instead of getting like a customer where a customer buys only once, then it will be make more sense for you, for a business, to get them buy twice or even more than that. So when you have like when you build your own community with your email list, that's what I think it will be a lot easier for having, let's say, a sustainable business in the future, rather than having that mindset where you have to keep looking for new customers every single day. So focus more on your customers, and you'll be able to have a sustainable business in the future for sure.
Excellent. Well, I agree completely with that. So that I think makes perfect sense. Couldn't book a hole to save my life. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up. Like I said, this has just been chock full of great insights. So I'm really looking forward to sharing this one with our audience. My closeout question to you: if there's like a Chinese proverb you like, or like one of those parting bits of wisdom, you're free to share it, and then let the audience know how they can make contact with you.
Actually, I have an interesting one from, there's this let's say Chinese. It was a Chinese general in the ancient times.
You're talking about Sun Tzu?
Sun Tzu, yeah.
Yeah. Sun Tzu is like one of the most legendary people of all time, in my humble opinion.
Yeah. So he says, like, and this makes sense now since we're dealing with, all these chaotic things in the world. In the midst of chaos, there's always an opportunity. So if people want to go and achieve a goal with their business or whatever personal goal, and there's chaos, don't worry about it. There's always an opportunity. So go ahead and achieve your dreams.
I think this is around like episode 150, and I think this is the first time we brought up Sun Tzu, and I'm disappointed with myself. He should have come up sooner than this. All right. Well, Alex, this has been a fantastic episode. I'm super grateful for your time, your knowledge, and your insight. Doors always open. Give us a couple of quarters down the way, and we'll be happy to bring you back. And to my audience, it is an honor and a privilege to collect this information, store it for further use. I don't know if it's the chipmunks or the squirrels that put the food in their mouth and then they hibernate. Anyways, am I using this for my own personal benefit? You better believe I am. But I also am honored to be able to share it with all of you as well. So thank you to all of you for your participation. Alex, one more thank you for the road. And everybody take care. We will check in soon.
Obviously, it ultimately means a lot of different things.
Hey, this is Joseph from Ecomonics. Just wanted to thank you for being here and for giving this content your time and attention. I hope you learned something. I can say with certainty, I have learned something with every episode that I have done, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. There's a couple of things you can do to help us out. If you want to check out the audio content, we are available on all major podcast platform distributors. And while you're there, give us a 5-star review. It helps a lot. And while you're here on YouTube, there's a lot of things you can do to help out as well. It's not going to take very long. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button for this episode, and hit the notification bell so when we have new content for you, it's going to be at your doorstep ASAP. Lastly, this podcast is created by Debutify, the best Shopify template available. It is 100% free for you to start, and it can change your life. It can make you so much more free than you are right now. So if this episode wasn't enough to convince you, I think a few more might do the trick. So have at it.